This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow Manchild, Johnny Karlic. And today, not as we're recording, but as you are seeing this, I cannot just say fellow Manchild, Johnny Karlic. I can also say something else, Johnny.
Don't say it.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Don't say it.
I can also
say it.
Special birthday boy.
Shut the fuck up.
Johnny Karlic. Well, I haven't told you up until now, but happy birthday.
Thanks.
And anyone else who wants to wish Johnny a happy birthday, please do so.
Don't do it.
In the comments section.
I don't have a birthday.
You're now 1 year closer to 30, like the rest of us.
Thank you.
By the rest of us, I mean Dave and myself, because Sean is a little youngin' and doesn't know what it means like to be on that second half of 25.
Yeah, the down slope.
Some say it's after 50, others say it's after 25. When you've gone through that first quarter of life.
Quarter life crisis.
Yeah, that quarter life.
Still going on.
There's so many like the millennial accounts I follow on Twitter.
4 years later, it's still going on.
Quarter life crisis. But happy birthday, Johnny.
Thanks.
Fellow Manchild's fellow birthday boy on the podcast. But man, do we have a jam-packed podcast for you guys. And before we get into it, if you have not already, if you're coming in new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Most Valuable Podcasts Nerd is a thing. New channel, Rick and Johnny Podcast. Too Old to Game. We've got other great nerd ideas, gaming and nerd related, that we've got planned up for the future. So hit that subscribe button, trying to grow this channel and keep it separate from the sports and other things that we do on Most Valuable Podcasts. But Johnny, talking all superheroes this week. Little Marvel, little DC, more Marvel than DC. Going to be looking at Spider-Man 3. Going to take a look at the possible Flash movie for DC, and then end things looking at Scarlet Witch, because she is probably going to be retconned in the Doctor Strange movie coming up in Phase 4. But let's start with Spider-Man. You and I just watched a video. I watched it this week. You watched it just now. It's a MatPat Film Theory video, and if you're new to MatPat, new to Film Theory, he had a theory about the video. Will it be right? Probably not, because, although I love MatPat and love watching all of his videos, I kind of seem like, and yet again, I would have to go through and be like, right, wrong. I kind of have a feeling that most of his theories are out there to where it gets you thinking, but it's not necessarily right when we get to the movie. And he had a theory about the Sinister Six and them being the next villain of Spider-Man 3. So we're ultimately going to answer that question of, will the Sinister Six be the main villain of Spider-Man 3? But Johnny, before we do that, I want to take a step back. Before we say, oh, for sure the Sinister Six are going to be the villains of Spider-Man 3, who do you think could be the main villain of this third Spider-Man film in the MCU? Is it going to be the Sinister Six? Will it be somebody else? Are we jumping the gun by saying it's going to be the Six? What are your thoughts about just the main villain in generality when it comes to Spider-Man 3? Yeah, making words up here on the podcast.
So, I mean, it's not that we're not set up. Well, most half set up for the Sinister Six for sure. What's the percentage of that?
I'm going to do when we say half, because I know MatPat threw Shocker in there. I'm not ready to say he's going to be a major player if they do the Sinister Six.
I could see them pulling him back out and having him, because I mean he's out there and he's not in jail from what we know, so he could help get them out. He could. I mean, that's the thing. So let's say Mysterio so to go off of MatPat, Mysterio is still alive in the sense that
the thing I'm gonna take a step back. We're gonna map out. We're gonna map out who the Six is. I want to start kind of over umbrella of, if you're Kevin Feige, and you have another deal with Sony, because right now Tom Holland has another movie but Sony and the MCU would have to re-up their agreement. In a third movie, would you do the Sinister Six, or would you do another solo villain like we've seen in 1 and 2?
I would, I would make the twist of start it with the solo villain, to a sense, bring it into the Sinister Six.
Okay, who would that solo villain be? Like, we're going to map out Sinister Six. We're going to talk about them.
I'd prefer it to be, in my opinion, I'd prefer it to be Doc Ock over anyone.
So set up that kind of...
Set up Doc Ock, the revenge thing. And
set up your leader of the Six.
Leader of the Six, exactly. And the one that you set up his hatred towards Norman Osborn as well as his hatred towards Spider-Man. Or jealousy towards Spider-Man, technically.
I mean, yeah.
It was more of a jealousy thing, I think, wasn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Because, I mean, we've obviously seen it. We've seen Doc Ock play out in the movies, but the thing I want to ask you first, and this is me just spot checking.
Yeah.
What grade was Peter Parker in for Far From Home?
Far From Home.
Because I know they're 5 years older, but were they seniors in that movie?
No, they were where they left off.
Which would be juniors?
I think they're going into their junior year.
Okay.
I think.
Because the whole thing, here's the thing I wonder with Doc Ock is, if you're going to introduce him, where is Spider-Man going to be in the timeline? If he's still in high school, there's the internship, but also the thing that plays into it is what happened at the end of, spoilers, by the way, if you have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home, pause, come back later before I spoil something. With Doc Ock, would the internship angle really work? Because the big oh my god moment at the end was that J. Jonah Jameson outed him as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Which is obviously going to be the biggest focal point of the next movie, is that now the villains know who Peter Parker is, and that's why we're kind of thinking a team-up might be the next one. I would, and it's a little bit like, depending on when it'll happen, is what I would do. Is, if you're on board with the fans out there who are like, oh, Kevin Feige after the Comic-Con panel said that they announced 11 projects, but they only announced 10 projects. Is that 11 project maybe a Spider-Man 3 that he couldn't announce because them and Sony don't have a deal? If you're going to shoehorn in a Spider-Man movie into Phase 4, then I would say, okay, probably do a second villain. And there are an article that I'm looking at from Screen Rants. It's from way earlier this month. That John Watts, who directed Far From Home, that he wants Kraven to be the villain of Spider-Man 3. The only thing about that I think is weird and why we wouldn't get that is Sony's in development of a Kraven movie. So they're already writing and developing a Kraven movie. I don't think they do a movie of Kraven on his own.
No.
And then make him the villain of Spider-Man 3. I'm thinking there's a good chance that the Sinister Six will be that next villain for Spider-Man, only because of, look at the Phase 4 schedule. What was not on there? Spider-Man 3. And I know, like I said, there's people out there that think, oh, well, it could get shoehorned in there. Sony and Marvel, once they make that deal for 3, because there was a threshold of, I said it when we talked about the Spider-Man Far From Home review, that if it made over $1 billion, that was one of the linchpins in the deal, and it did that, so we don't have to worry about Sony taking the rights back and not working with Marvel anymore. Let's say it is the Sinister Six, because the reason why I think it is because you've got Phase 5. Phases usually last 3 years.
Yeah, something like that.
I know that doesn't really play into Sony's plan, because Sony, the thing that's interesting about them is they, with their Spider-Man movies, it's like effing clockwork, Johnny. Like, it's every 2 years, and it's 4th of July weekend. That's what Sony does. Far From Home, 4th of July weekend, it was 2017. Far From Home, 4th of July weekend, 2019. So the next one, if we're going off of that, would be, and let me pull up the Phase 4 MCU really quick, because where would that put everything in Phase 4? If we did the, hey, this is what it's going to be, that would mean 4th of July weekend 2021, which would be, let's see, Doctor Strange is May in 2021. Yeah, there is an opening movie-wise. So, Doctor Strange is May 7th, 2021.
Yeah.
Then it's Loki in the spring, Disney Plus.
Yeah, that
What
doesn't
If
count.
in the spring,
Doesn't count.
Disney Plus. The next movie is Thor: Love and Thunder, November 5th. So
Thor's always November's now.
so they've left an opening between Doctor Strange and Thor to where if they needed to put a Spider-Man in there,
They can put it in there.
July of 2021, they can. I'm going off of what they have planned out, though. I don't think they need to shoehorn a Spider-Man in there, although Sony, if they push for it, will probably do that. If it is held off till Phase 5, I think then if you're Sony, you can build up for that Sinister Six. And that's where we'll get into the conversation now of who do you think would, if they are the main villain, who would be in that iteration? As you were saying, we could possibly already have 3 of them.
Yes,
With Vulture, Scorpion, and Shocker.
Yes, and possibly the 4th one, thanks to
Being Mysterio.
Mysterio Far From Home, because was it MatPat you said?
Yeah, MatPat.
Stated that yes, Beck may be dead, which again you and I have gone back and forth with.
You think he is? I don't think
he's
so.
not, but either way, his team is not.
Yes.
So
And there have been other iterations of Mysterio in the comics.
exactly, all he really have to do is get a front man at that point.
Exactly.
Because Beck needs the team, or Mysterio needs the team to have Mysterio all together.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there's those 4. There's another one that will go off of his. I'll go off of his, and that would be a great reveal because I also set it up in the movie loosely how that could be. Spider-Man is kind of confronted by the 4 of them already, and you see Dimitri from Far From Home show up, and you're like, oh my god, Dimitri's going to come and help me. Pull the mask off, or however, maybe make it shift like Skrull.
Yeah.
Because what I'm going to do is, I'm going to twist his and say it's not...
Chameleon. It's a Skrull.
It's
that
not
is the chameleon.
It's not a Skrull.
Okay.
It's the chameleon, someone who's playing around with Skrull DNA.
Okay. And that's how he was able
That's
to
how he gets the
shapeshift. You're right.
the chameleon shape-shifting powers now.
Yeah, I mean...
That one I would love to see because all of a sudden kind of introduce the chameleon, and then... Because that's the hard part. It's like you want to introduce your next villain, the leader. It's got to be... To me, it's got to be Doc Ock. He's the one that's going to pull it all together.
Yeah, to me, if Sinister Six is going to be your main villains of Spider-Man 3, I'm leaning more towards the Doc Ock angle than I am the Green Goblin angle. And the reason why I say that is, in his video, MatPat made a good point that I really did like, is how they can make Oscorp work and how they can make Norman Osborn work is because there's no Tony Stark, someone needs to be the top of the tech game.
Exactly.
And that's where the Osborns step in.
Where the Osborns will kind of
they'll take that spot.
I mean, Stark Industries isn't dead, but their front man is.
Yes, where Norman can be that front man. Plus, Norman's the kind of guy where Tony, after Iron Man 1, was like, hey, we're not going to do this shady shit anymore. Osborn ain't like that.
No, he can go and do that.
He will be the one that's like, hey, you know what? I don't care if I'm supplying the bad guy. We're making money.
Money is money.
But the thing I also look at too is you can almost do the same angle in a sense. Like MatPat's big thing is that Oscorp could fund the Sinister Six with technology.
Yeah,
I think you can do the same thing with Doc Ock.
He can make the tech.
He can make the tech for the Sinister Six. And the reason why I lean towards Doc Ock is kind of like a Batman Spider-Man situation is you have this rogues gallery, and if you're Marvel, do you really want to be the Tom Holland Spider-Man? Do you really want it to be the third iteration we see of the Green Goblin? Because Sam Raimi, we had Green Goblin. Then Andrew Garfield, we had Green Goblin. Do you really want to use the Green Goblin yet again? Because, like, I look at Batman movies. How many times have we seen the Joker through Batman movies? Twice. You don't need, like, the Joker's great. The Joker's awesome. He's the main arch nemesis of Batman. Mm-hmm. But you don't need the Joker to have it be a great Batman movie.
Exactly.
Like, look at Batman Begins. Was it better than The Dark Knight? No. Heath Ledger had a fantastic performance as the Joker. But Batman Begins, you could tell a great story without even using the Joker in that movie. And I think you can do the same with Peter and Doc Ock, because their relationship is very unique, because it's that mentor-mentee relationship that kind of then turns sour.
Yeah.
And the thing that also, like, plays into that is then Doc Ock, you might think he's good. You say the thing of, like, with the chameleon. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine the reveal of where basically it's Peter Parker he's got to handle work and life and Spider-Man and life, but then also he's got to worry about all these villains coming after him. And I know MatPat said, oh, it's the Vulture that'll be the one to come and save him. You were saying we would think, oh, the chameleon, Dimitri's come to save him. Pull, and like that's the reveal where he's really a bad guy.
Like it's Spider-Man goes like, it's a 3-verse-1, and then Dimitri stood up. No, it looks like it's a 3-verse-2. He goes, nope, it's 4-verse-1.
Yeah, where I think it would be
5, whatever.
It would be way more impactful, and they've done this in the Spider-Man video game in a sense, but not exactly. Because in that one, spoilers for it if you haven't played it. At the end, Doc Ock is in that. You're working for Doc Ock, like on his project, and then he turns out to be the main villain at the end, who you're fighting the last battle because he's gone crazy with just everything. Gets mad at Oscorp for cutting his funds, gets mad at Spider-Man for everything. That would be a great turn of, like, Spider-Man is up against it, and Dr. Octopus comes up, and Peter's like, oh my God, Dr. Octavius, like, you're here to save me. And then Dr. Octavius in his just normal tone, oh no, Peter, I'm not here to help you. I'm here to kill you. And then they all come after him. Where it's basically like his greatest mentor is now turned on him, and that's the full culmination of the Sinister Six.
See, the only thing I have a problem with that being in the movie now is we kind of...
That's way too much for a Spider-Man 3.
Too much for Spider-Man 3, but also we kind of ruined that with already revealing Peter as Spider-Man. I mean, yeah, you're going to have like 50-50 on the population. People are going to go... Or you have a lot of people going, who the fuck's this Peter Parker?
But through Spider-Man 3, I would say, like, Doc Ock isn't Doc Ock until the end. He's just Octavius until that ending act where he comes up with the spider legs, and Peter thinks, like, holy shit, like, because Doc Ock doesn't hide his identity.
No.
You know it's Octavius. And Peter sees that and just assumes, like, oh my God, he's here to help me. But then he's not. Like, that angle is what I would do, but then
I don't know about that, because we don't have it really that set up for the movies anymore. Because you'd have to, like, cram that in that, oh, he gets the an internship with him. Oh, and then blah, 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 blah. Oh, now he's going to turn on him. That's a lot to cram into one movie time span. So I'm going to go with, like, he puts together the Sinister Six. Mostly make him mad at Oscorp. Maybe you can throw in the internship thing, but I don't think it's going to be as impactful unless they're going to do some little bit of time lapse on how long he's been working with them. Because you don't, like, just get that overnight.
Yeah. Do you think because of that, then Marvel is going to choose to do the Osborn route instead of the Octavius route because it might be easier?
They might, but I think it'd be a cooler storyline to kind of like...
Like, is it impossible to do Octavius because of the fact that Spider-Man got ousted as Peter Parker?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it would make Osborn, like, maybe it makes Doc Ock a little, like, give his motivation a little bit differently. Because there's a lot of iterations where he wants Spider-Man's blood to do experiments. It's like, well, now I fucking know who he is.
That's a good point.
I can just go after him now.
Then he doesn't even have to work for in this iteration.
And now in his intelligence, he goes, I see him go up against these guys and they all get their asses kicked. Let me get those guys back together. They can take the beating and I can get his blood.
Yeah. No, I like the reason why I like that is because one of the things MatPat says in this film that like a light bulb went off in my head is the fact how he goes, the MCU is reimagining these ideas, like to keep it fresh, to keep it new. They're giving us iterations, which kind of makes me think the Green Goblin rant I went on could work for the MCU, because the way they would do the Green Goblin is something you or I couldn't think of. And it'd be new, it'd be fresh, it'd be a new reimagination of the Green Goblin to where it's like, wow, this is something I haven't seen before.
But I would rather
that's
see
the Octavius
Doc Ock version.
Yeah, that's the Octavius way of, all right, in this one, Peter's not even going to work for him.
No.
Like, we're not going to do that route. We're going to go with the Octavius wants Peter's blood for the experiments he's working on.
And we can put it, you can start the movie off with Octavius works for, you said Norman, shuts down his funding, and then that gets the I'm pissed at Oscorp. So I want, like, to attack. I want to attack on that, but I also want to get Spider-Man's blood because, hey, that'll help with the experiments that I was doing anyways.
No, and I
Something
mean,
like that.
Let's put it this way then. Let's put a kibosh on this part of the discussion.
Yeah.
What would be if they do Sinister Six, who's your lineup for that movie?
Give me, wow, I almost forgot everyone's name. Vulture, Shocker, Scorpion. Because then Octavius can give him the Scorpion suit, and I want to see that. I also want to see what the MCU does with the Scorpion suit.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking awesome. Mysterio, because even if Beck's dead, they got the team. I would do Chameleon because we sorted. They had the name in there at least.
Yeah, they've got Dimitri.
Dimitri's in there, and then I would put Doc Ock as the leader / new villain for Spider-Man 3.
So I'm going to be a little different than you.
Okay.
I think they will lean on. They'll lean on the first iteration of the Sinister Six.
Okay.
That we saw. The only question is, how are they going to do it? The one question I will throw out before I give mine is, MatPat in his video talked about the Vulture being like, he might be a bad guy at first and then turn to good. Do you see that? Because to me, it's like, I think the Vulture is going to be a member, but I necessarily don't think there's going to be a turn to where the Vulture helps out Spider-Man.
I don't think so, because now at this point he kind of wants revenge, but he wants to be the one that kills Spider-Man.
Like, and that's it. Where that last credit scene in Homecoming, it wasn't I'm protecting Spider-Man. It's why would I tell you? If I tell you, you're going to go after him. I want him. He's mine. Yeah. Like, I know Spider-Man saved him.
This is your one pro tech.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be the one that kills you.
Yeah. Like, I get that Spider-Man saved Vulture at the end, and some people may think, well, like, oh, Vulture may not hate him, but there's a part of me he's a bad guy. He understands Spider-Man.
He wants Spider-Man dead, but at his hands.
Exactly.
But it's more, to me, it's more so like, it's kind of a double-sided part of it's like, I'm not telling you. I'm giving Spider-Man the protect on this one because I owe him one. Because he did it before. Yeah. Like, you saved my daughter, so I'm not going to kill you right now. Yeah. He did that. It's like, okay, you saved me. I'm not going to let these guys kill you because I'm going to be the one that kills you.
Yeah. So I think Vulture is going to be in it. What they do with him will be interesting. I think Quentin Beck Mysterio is going to be in it because I'm a stan of we never saw a body. In the comic, he faked his death. Like, Mysterio is the master of illusion. Why can't he fake a death?
So semantics is what you and I argue on that one.
So Vulture, I am saying Quentin Beck Mysterio.
Okay.
I am going to go with Scorpion will be in it. And then what? I've got 3 more left. I'm going to go Doc Ock as the leader because I got Vulture, Mysterio, Quentin Beck Mysterio, Scorpion. Doc Ock as the leader. So that's 4. And for my other 2, I'll go... Because I'm going to go Kraven. And the reason why I'm going Kraven is, here's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
If Spider-Man, if Sony is able to be talked out of that 2-year, and we don't get Spider-Man until Phase 3 of MCU, what Sony could do is instead of a Spider-Man movie, Phase 5.
I was going to say, Phase 3 just ended.
Phase 5. Instead of a Spider-Man movie in that 4th of July weekend, we get the Kraven movie in that 4th of July 2021 weekend. So Sony sets Kraven up. In Spider-Man 3, he joins the Sinister Six. We have our Kraven. He was set up. He joins the Sinister Six. That's 5. So Vulture, Mysterio, Scorpion, Doc Ock, Kraven. So right there we have basically everyone but Sandman and Electro from the original. And that's where I kind of differ on the 5th, where maybe it's a Shocker, because then Shocker is the reimagining of it, where it's like, well, Electro was in the original, but we don't have Electro, so we're putting the Shocker in ours, and the Shocker fits in ours. But at the same time, like, the Chameleon is one where, like, they may do it, but for me, it doesn't get my jimmies going.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, rile me up like, oh, man, we got the Chameleon in this one. But I do like what you said about it, and what it could do is get the Skrulls and get their name in front of casual fans again.
Yeah.
Because we saw that already in Far From Home. We could see it again. I'm going to go away from the... It's either Chameleon or Shocker at that point, and I would almost go... I think away from the Chameleon, because they never said the word Chameleon, and they actually said, well, you're the Shocker now. Yeah. They actually threw that out there of, like, Shocker compared to just, like, with the Chameleon, it was, oh, he's Dimitri.
Not saying your list is wrong, just I like it, but the only reason I didn't go with anyone that wasn't even nearly mentioned, like Kraven, for example, is because Marvel didn't seem fond of putting Sony's universe into theirs. So that's the only reason I didn't bring up Kraven. I get that they're doing their own Kraven movie.
Yeah.
But they didn't seem fond of throwing Sony's universe tying Sony's universe into theirs. Yeah, and that's the only reason I didn't go with anyone that hasn't been mentioned at all except for one person.
And that's also another possibility.
Yeah,
if we get a Spider-Man 3 in that Phase 4 spot that I said is open, then in my mind it would be a single villain, and we're not seeing the Sinister Six then until Sony gets the character. Because I think at some point Sony's going to want to take the character back. It's just, when do they take it back?
If they're smart, they'll just keep giving it to Marvel to make the good movies.
But eventually they're going to want a Venom Spider-Man crossover. Exactly. And if MCU goes, no, we don't want that, eventually Sony's going to need to be like, no, we have Venom here to match him up with Spider-Man. It's either going to be...
It's either you guys do it or we do it.
Basically, it's going to come down to that. It's basically, well, if you want to do it, we've set him up for this reason. Otherwise, at this point, we're going to take him back. Thank you for...
Thanks for the memories.
Because, like, the way the deal works is... It's funny because Marvel actually wins the deal. Is Sony gets all the box office for the Spider-Man films.
Marvel gets all the merchandising.
Yes, which you make way more money on the toys than you do the ticket sales.
Yeah.
Because sometimes kids buy the toys and then don't go see the movie in the theater, or they're like, oh, I'll wait until it comes out on DVD.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Or I'll wait till it comes out
Redbox or whatever.
Redbox and stuff. So it's like you make more money on the toys than you do the movies.
Yep.
Last 2 questions I want to answer with this is the first one is kind of smaller. The second one is the one I want to get into to end this one. If they do if Marvel or Sony introduces Norman Osborn, is it Norman that they're introducing? Are they going to introduce Harry? Are they going to introduce both? If it's the Osborn family, what are they introducing? Both? One? Neither? In this one, they are introducing one. So is it both?
Norman.
Is it one or the other?
I'm going to do Norman. I don't know if we want to add the element of adding Harry into the conversation. I mean, I guess it could be like, again, as every time, Peter's long lost childhood friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, yeah, I've been in boarding school for freaking ever.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of the trope, I guess. But
Yeah.
I would just make it Norman.
They haven't set up anything, though.
Exactly.
With that.
I would just make it Norman.
Then do you believe, and this is the one I want to segue into,
Yeah.
and this is the last thing from that. This is the big reveal from the MatPat film, or the MatPat video, I should say, is his thing is that in the comics, Norman took on Flash Thompson, basically gave him a job, treated him like part of the family, turned him against Spider-Man. Do you think we see a similar situation of they introduce Norman, they don't introduce Harry. They maybe name drop Harry, like Harry's off in Europe or he's away. Well, they introduce Norman.
Mm-hmm.
Norman gives Flash an internship because they've already established the kind of Flash's parents weren't there to pick him up. Like MatPat said in his video, they obviously have a formal relationship where I've always said mom and dad. He's a father and mother type of person, which might not be him. It might just be that's what his parents instilled in him. Like, I am your father, I am mother.
They have a formal relationship as a casual one.
Yeah. Do you think they play off of that where because the parents are maybe, I don't want to say absentee, but they're distant and more formal?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they do that? Introduce a Norman, he gives Flash an internship, Norman turns Flash against Spider-Man to where Flash takes the spot that Harry would normally take, and is that going to be the way the MCU reimagines the Osborns and maybe Flash Thompson?
It'd be an interesting direction, especially going from Spider-Man fanboy to
basically hating Spider-Man.
hating him. And it could play into like, I was 50-50 on, is Flash going to believe that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Or is he going to jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, yeah, my best buddy Pete. It's like, you called me dickhead just like a week ago.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's why I am almost on the side of, no, I don't. This is where I think the MatPat theory is wrong. I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's too crazy for the MCU
Too out
do.
there?
Yeah, too out there. Like, it's so extravagant.
They make changes, but like they were honestly to me minor changes. Like MJ stands for Michelle Jones.
Yeah. And also in the comics, you got to think of is like when you got to the 90s in the comics, one that I'm thinking about is Mark and I read a Sinister Six one from the 90s with the Sinister Six in it. And in that one, Flash Thompson is friends with Peter and MJ. I believe knows Peter is Spider-Man and is dating Felicia Hardy, dating Black Cat at that time. But it's funny because Black Cat's only dating Flash Thompson to try to make Peter jealous. Like, Peter's married to MJ. MJ is in the movie career of her life at this point.
Yeah.
Or TV sitcom, is it? Or one of those? Or drama? One of those. And because there's a reference that the only reason Felicia is dating Flash Thompson is because she's trying to make Peter jealous and wants Peter to notice her and notice how, like, buddy she is with Flash Thompson. Where Flash is like, but you're like, hey, man, my main man Pete, like, hey, we should go on a double date sometime, man. Like, that main, like, friend to Peter Parker, to where I think they go more that route with Flash Thompson than turning him against Peter, because Peter's going to have a ton of villains that are coming after him. They don't need any help coming up with villains for Peter Parker.
Because now they have the open gate of, hey, you got all these villains now that, hey, we know your name. We know where to come and get you.
Do you think we see any minor ones, like a Rhino that comes after Spider-Man, not Hobgoblin, because if they're going to do Hobgoblin, that's got to be Ned.
Harry. Or Ned.
Ned. That is that one. I'm trying to think of any smaller ones. Like I don't want to say Electro because like
he's a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, like but that would be just like copying what the Amazing Spider-Man did.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah. I mean, Rhino would be an interesting one. I'm trying to think of the low tier villains.
Lizard would need some build up.
Yeah. Rhino, you don't really need that much build up.
No, he's just a guy like
guy in a Rhino suit.
I hated the Paul Giamatti with you, but the suit idea wasn't the worst by Sony.
No, it wasn't. Just like the way they went about it.
I'm Paul Giamatti as the Rhino.
Paul Giamatti as the Rhino was bad, but also like making a mecha like super like all these guns and shit. It's like, do we need that part of it? It's like that's not what the Rhino was about. It was about using the suit and the strength he had behind it with that. I think he once in a while deals with the Wrecking Crew, at least the Absorbing Man.
Yeah.
It would have to be like low tier shit like that.
Would Sandman be a low tier?
I don't know if he's low tier because he's kind of powerful.
He was in the Sinister Six, the original version.
He was, but he's also kind of powerful.
Yeah. And he was obviously a main part of the Sam Raimi ones. With Spider-Man 3, him being a huge part of that. Any final thoughts with Spider-Man 3? Well, I'll ask you this. Final thing. Do you think we see Spider-Man in Phase 4 or Phase 5?
I'm hoping for Phase 4, but since they have that open slot that they said, like, hey, well, they only mentioned 10 and they said they have 11.
So it was very sly by Kevin Feige where... They have as I click on it. So Black Widow, Falcon Winter Soldier, Eternals, Shang-Chi, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, What If, Loki, Hawkeye, Thor.
That's 10.
That's 10.
And they said there's 11.
But in an interview after, he said 11. So there are some people, like my mind went to 10. Then he announced Blade. That would make 11.
That could be. Like, it's either Blade,
Mahershala Ali, or some people are saying he, in his head, was thinking, "Oh, well, there's that gap movie-wise between May 7th and November 5th, where possibly they could put Spider-Man in there in July because Sony likes to do every 2 years like clockwork."
Yeah. So I mean that I would think that one, but again, you're right. I forgot about Blade, so it could be Blade or it could be Spider-Man. Maybe they'll fill the slot. Like maybe if it's like, hey, we're gonna get Blade ready to go, and if they're not ready to let us use Spider-Man one more time, we're just gonna put Blade in that slot.
I mean, I'm even thinking like I don't think Spider-Man's not gonna pop up in Black Widow because it's a prequel
during the
Civil War, like in between Civil War and Infinity War. He's not gonna show up in Shang-Chi.
Doubt it.
I don't think he should. If they're putting, we're gonna get to Wanda later.
Yeah.
If they're gonna put Wanda and Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange, we're not gonna get him there.
Nope.
And there's no reason for him to be in Thor.
No.
So I mean, and Eternals, there's no reason for him to be in the Eternals either. So I mean, if we're getting,
except maybe Thor, it would have to be like a post-credit. It was the only way you're gonna really get him in any part of it.
Yeah, really, like the only way we're getting a Spider-Man Phase 4 is if they put one in. I think they talk to Sony and are like, hey, you guys, like, they're gonna, like, Sony will be like, cool, we'll have a movie there that won't, it'll be a Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
But it won't be Spider-Man. That's what I think. Because they've got Venom 2. They've got Kraven that they're developing. They want to do a Silver Sable Black Cat movie. Like 2021 is what, 2 years from now? Like they've got time to get stuff rolling. I know Sony isn't the one we want streamlining anything. Because usually, except for like Into the Spider-Verse, Venom wasn't bad. But Into the Spider-Verse was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Maybe they do another one of those movies to kind of have the hold there, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with Spider-Man. Let us know, obviously, what you guys think down below about the villain of Spider-Man 3. Will it be in Phase 4, Phase 5? And then the big one of Sinister Six. If they are the villains, who's your Sinister Six? Let us know what you guys think down below.